My wife suggested that I diversify our intimate life and invite a third person to make love. I did not agree. She said that I was boring. I never thought my marriage to Emily would turn into the kind of story you read about on Reddit at 3 a.m. Glass of whiskey in hand, wondering how people can be so damn cruel. We'd been married 5 years, together for almost 8. Emily was the type of girl who could walk into a room and instantly have everyone's attention. Blonde hair that looked expensive, because it was, those perfect white teeth, and a laugh that made men's heads turn. My mom used to call her a real catch. My dad said she was out of my league. In that way dads try to joke, but actually mean. A couple months ago, we were sitting on the couch after dinner, just a normal Tuesday night. She was in one of my t-shirts, hair up, scrolling her phone. She looked up at me and, as casually as if she was asking what I wanted for dessert, said, "Babe, what if we, spice things up? Like brought someone else into the bedroom?" I laughed because I honestly thought she was kidding. Me? The guy who can barely make conversation with a waitress without overthinking it? Invite some stranger into our bed? Not happening. I told her. Nah, not my thing. She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck and said, "You're boring, Jake. You never want to try anything new." At the time, it stung, but I shrugged it off. Emily had a flair for dramatics. But looking back, that was the first crack in the glass. I just didn't know it yet. After that conversation, something in Emily changed. It started small. She'd take a little longer getting ready before girls' night. Hair curled, red lipstick, heels, stuff she hadn't worn for me in months. She started hitting the gym twice a day, telling me she was working on herself. Then the late nights began. She'd come home after midnight smelling like tequila and some guy's cologne. Not mine, that's for damn sure. When I asked, she'd wave me off. "Jake, it's just Jessica from work, you know her. She's going through a rough breakup, and I'm being a good friend. Stop acting like my dad." The first real red flag came one Friday. She claimed she was going to a wine tasting with her co-workers. I called her around 10 p.m. to see if she needed a ride, and she didn't answer. 10 minutes later, I got a text. "Can't talk, babe. So loud here." Except the photo she attached. To prove it, was just her and Jessica holding glasses of wine, and in the background, in the blurry reflection of a mirror, I could see the unmistakable silhouette of a man's arm around her waist. When I confronted her about it later, she actually laughed. "Seriously? You're zooming in on reflections now? God, you're insecure." I remember sitting there, wondering if I was insecure or if she was just a damn good liar. 2 weeks later, I got my answer. No more doubts, no more. Maybe I'm overthinking. It was a Sunday morning. Emily was in the shower, her phone buzzing on the nightstand. Normally, I'm not the snooping type, but after the mirror photo incident, my gut had been screaming at me nonstop. I glanced at the screen. A notification preview from Ryan Flex Biceps. Read. "Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about your mouth." My stomach dropped. My ears got hot. And against every moral code I thought I had, I opened her phone. The messages were explicit, dirty, detailed, timestamped for nights she claimed to be helping Jessica cry it out. And then there were the photos. One in particular is burned into my brain, Emily in our bedroom mirror, wearing nothing but one of my shirts unbuttoned, no panties, taking a selfie with her hair messy and lips swollen. The caption to him read, "You'd better remember this until next time." Another one showed her in the passenger seat of a car, skirt hiked up, hand between her thighs. The timestamp? The night she told me she was at her sister's house watching a movie. I sat there holding her phone like it was a live grenade. Part of me wanted to throw it against the wall, part of me wanted to vomit, and part of me just froze. When she came out of the shower, wrapped in a towel, she caught me staring at her. She tilted her head, smirked, and said, "What? You look like you've seen a ghost." Oh, Emily. I'd seen something far worse. I didn't even give myself time to think. I held up her phone and said, "Who the hell is Ryan?" She froze for half a second, just long enough to confirm everything, then scoffed, like I'd just accused her of stealing a pack of gum. "Oh my God, Jake! You went through my phone? That's such a violation." "A violation?" I barked. "Emily, you're sending nudes to some guy named Ryan while telling me you're at your sister's house." She wrapped the towel tighter and crossed her arms. "You've been so distant lately. I told you I wanted to spice things up, but you're too boring, too closed-minded. Ryan actually listens to me." I could feel my face heating up. "Listens to you? His texts are just you two talking about what he did to you in a damn car." She rolled her eyes. "It's not like we had sex. We just fooled around a bit. It's different." That sentence, it was like she was trying to downplay the fact that I'd just read her describing, in detail, things she'd never done for me. Things I didn't even know she liked. I told her, "You humiliated me. Do you know how pathetic I feel right now? Wondering if I'm not good enough, while you're out doing this?" She smirked, actually smirked, and said, "If you were good enough, maybe I wouldn't have needed Ryan." That was it. Something inside me snapped. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said, "Get dressed. We're not done." You know how people say in moments of trauma you can feel your heart breaking? I used to think that was just poetic nonsense. But standing there, watching Emily slip into jeans and a tank top after basically telling me I wasn't good enough, I swear I felt something in my chest tear. The rest of that day was a blur. She left. To clear her head, which probably meant running straight to Ryan, and I just sat at the kitchen table, staring at my coffee until it went cold. I kept replaying everything in my head. Our wedding day. The road trip we took to Arizona. The night she stayed up with me when my dad had his stroke. All of it now felt like it belonged to some other couple. And then there were the images from her phone. Her biting her lip, eyes half-lidded for him. The little captions, "Your turn next time," burned into my brain. I'd never seen her that into me. I thought about all the times she told me she wasn't in the mood. All the nights I'd rolled over, telling myself I was just being patient. Turns out I was just being played. By the evening, my mom had called, asking if we were still coming to my sister's birthday dinner next weekend. I couldn't even form an answer. How was I supposed to sit across from my family pretending everything was fine when my wife was sending semi-nude selfies to another man? I wasn't angry yet. I was hollow. And honestly, the hollow part scared me more, because I knew once the anger hit, I'd either burn the whole marriage down, or myself. The anger didn't come all at once, it crept in, like smoke filling a room. Emily waltzed back in around midnight, smelling faintly of whiskey and cologne. She didn't even try to sneak in quietly, like she wanted me to know she'd been out. When I asked where she'd been, she yawned and said, "With Jess. We went for a drink after dinner." Lie. I didn't even bother arguing. Instead, I said, "Cool," and went back to scrolling my phone. But in my head, something shifted. I wasn't going to cry in front of her. I wasn't going to beg her to stay. I wasn't going to let her watch me crumble. If she wanted to make me feel small, I'd show her how big of a mistake she'd made. The next morning, while she was at the gym, I started my own workout on her life. I pulled our phone records. I dug through old credit card statements. There it was, dinners for two at steakhouses we'd never been to, Uber rides that ended at an apartment complex across town, hotel charges on nights she told me she was visiting her mom. And I didn't stop there. I texted my sister Lisa, who's always had a sixth sense about bullshit. Told her I needed help. Within an hour, she'd sent me screenshots from mutual friends' Instagram stories showing Emily at bars, with Ryan, on nights she told me she was working late. Every piece of evidence went into a neat little folder on my laptop labeled taxes, because I knew Emily wouldn't touch anything tax-related with a 10-foot pole. I wasn't ready to confront her again, not yet. First, I wanted every weapon loaded. The breaking point came on a Thursday night. I'd spent the whole week compiling proof, lining up my ducks for the kill shot. All I had to do was keep playing dumb a little longer. Emily came home late, again. This time, she didn't even bother pretending. She tossed her heels in the corner, pulled her hair out of its clip, and dropped onto the couch scrolling her phone. I asked, "You have fun with Jess?" just to see if she'd lie to my face again. She didn't even look up. Actually, Ryan and I grabbed a drink. He had a rough day. My grip on the arm of the chair tightened. "You just told me?" She smirked like a cat toying with a mouse. "What? You can't handle that I have male friends?" God, Jake, you're so insecure. It's pathetic. That word, pathetic, hit like a slap. I could feel my pulse in my temples. She was sitting there, full glam, probably fresh from being in another man's arms, calling me pathetic in my own damn house. Then she twisted the knife. "You know, maybe if you weren't so boring in bed, I wouldn't need to diversify." I didn't say a word. I just got up, walked into the kitchen, and started washing a glass so I had something to do with my hands. But in my head? That was it. No more collecting. No more playing nice. She'd just given me permission, no motivation, to burn it all down. That night, after she went to bed, probably texting Ryan under the covers, I sat in the living room with my laptop and a fresh bourbon, and I mapped out her downfall. Step 1: money. I moved my paycheck into a brand new account she didn't know existed. I switched the auto pay for the mortgage and utilities to that account. The joint account? I left just enough to make it look normal, but not enough for her to go play sugar mama for Ryan. Step 2: access. I called the credit card company, reported both our cards as compromised, and requested replacements sent to my P.O. box. When she tried to buy her $12 matcha latte the next morning and got declined, I wanted to be there to watch. Step 3: receipts. I had more than enough evidence to prove infidelity: screenshots, hotel receipts, even a grainy Instagram story of her sitting on Ryan's lap at a dive bar 2 towns over. But I needed a way to drop it that would hurt. Not just a fight at home. Not just a tearful confrontation. No, I wanted an audience. Step 4: the stage. My sister Lisa was hosting a barbecue for my parents, my brothers, Emily's parents, and a bunch of our mutual friends that weekend. It was perfect. I told Lisa to set up the TV in the backyard for a slideshow. She didn't even ask questions, she just said, "Oh, this is going to be good." The plan was simple. Let Emily walk in thinking she's about to sip sangria and play hostess. Then, with one click, the whole family sees exactly who she's been when the lights are off and the phone is locked. And as I sipped my bourbon, picturing her face when the first photo hit the screen, I realized something. For the first time in weeks, I felt good. Saturday came, hot and bright, the kind of summer day where everything smells like sunscreen and grilled burgers. Perfect weather for destruction. Emily was in her element that morning, flowy sundress, hair in loose waves, fussing over a fruit platter like she was Martha Stewart. She had no idea I'd spent the night triple-checking that the HDMI cable was working and the taxes folder was queued up on Lisa's laptop. By the time everyone arrived, my parents, my 2 brothers, Emily's mom and dad, her younger sister, and about a dozen mutual friends, the backyard was buzzing. Emily was floating from group to group, laughing that high-pitched, fake sweet laugh I used to think was charming. Lisa caught my eye from across the yard and gave a barely noticeable nod. Showtime. I stood up, clinked my beer bottle with a fork, and said, "Before we eat, Lisa's put together a little slideshow. Just some memories to share." Emily smiled wide, clearly expecting a montage of vacation pics and birthday parties. But when the first image appeared on the screen, her smile twitched. There she was, mirror selfie, wearing nothing but my unbuttoned shirt, no underwear, captioned, "You'd better remember this until next time." The crowd reaction was instant. A couple gasps, one of my brothers muttering, "Holy shit!" Emily's sister choking on her drink. Click. Next photo, her in the passenger seat of a car, skirt up, hand between her thighs, timestamp for the night she told me she was visiting mom. Click. Screenshot of a text from Ryan. Can't stop thinking about your mouth. Her reply. You always know how to make me beg. Emily's face went from pale to blotchy red. She shot up from her chair. Turn it off, Jake. Now. I stayed seated. Why? This is the fun, new, exciting Emily you wanted everyone to see, right? Her mom was staring at her like she didn't recognize her own daughter. My dad leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, and said, Well, guess we know the truth now. Emily stormed inside, slamming the sliding door. Nobody followed her. After the barbecue blow up, Emily didn't come home that night. Honestly, I didn't care where she went. By Monday morning, the fallout had already started. My phone was buzzing nonstop with messages from her side of the family, half of them apologizing for her, half of them in shock. Her dad sent me a single text. I raised her better than this. I'm sorry. Then I started hearing from mutual friends. Turns out Ryan wasn't exactly thrilled to have his private fun blasted in front of a dozen people. Screenshots started circulating in his circle. By Tuesday, he blocked her on everything. One of Emily's friends told me Ryan had posted some cryptic story about not being anyone's backup plan. Translation: he wasn't about to date a married woman who'd just been publicly outed as a cheater. And just like that, her big, exciting fling evaporated. No more late-night texts, no more hotel meetups. She went from smug and untouchable to suddenly alone. By Thursday, she was back at our door. Hair a mess, sunglasses hiding her eyes, holding a bag of my favorite takeout like it was some kind of peace offering. Jake, can we talk? She asked, voice small. I leaned on the doorframe. Talk about what? How you called me boring while screwing a guy who dropped you the second things got inconvenient. She flinched. I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking straight. We can fix this. No. I cut her off. You made a choice. And I made mine. I closed the door in her face. After that door slam, I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. First, I called my lawyer. I'd already lined him up the week before, just in case. Now, I gave the green light. Divorce papers were drafted with cause, infidelity, front and center. With all my neatly organized evidence, there wasn't a damn thing she could contest. Second, I made sure she felt it where it hurt most, her lifestyle. Remember those credit cards I'd canceled? She'd been relying on them for her boutique shopping sprees and overpriced salon visits. Without me funding her, she was left with the part-time income from the yoga studio she barely worked at. And I didn't stop there. I called the mortgage company to have her name removed from all correspondence, and froze her access to every shared utility account. When she called me screaming that she couldn't even pay the damn Wi-Fi bill, I told her to ask Ryan to Venmo her. Socially, she was radioactive. The barbecue reveal had spread like wildfire through both our friend groups. People she'd once held court with at brunch now avoided her like she had a contagious disease. Even Jessica, the best friend she'd used as cover, texted me an apology for being dragged into Emily's mess. And because I'm a meticulous bastard, I sent a polite but pointed email to her parents detailing the timeline of her affair, complete with timestamps. I wasn't trying to ruin her relationship with them, they could make their own choices, but I wanted them to know exactly who their daughter had become. The kicker? She tried to spin it on social media, posting some vague crap about being betrayed by those you love. I responded with a single comment. Screenshots say otherwise. No further explanation. I just let everyone wonder. By the end of the month, she'd moved into a dingy one-bedroom near the highway. I heard she sold her engagement ring to cover rent. I slept better than I had in years. Once the papers were signed and she was officially out of my life, it was like someone had taken a 50-pound weight off my chest. I moved some furniture around, tossed the bed we'd shared into the dumpster without a second thought, and bought a brand new one. fresh sheets, fresh start. I even repainted the bedroom, a deep navy Emily would have hated. It was mine now. My family stepped up big time. My mom came over every Sunday with a casserole and a, "How are you really doing?" My dad, who's not exactly the emotional type, took me fishing just so I'd get some fresh air and stop thinking about that dumb girl. Lisa, my sister, became my rock. She'd call just to say, "Hey, remember when we humiliated Emily in front of everyone? That was fun." And we'd laugh until my stomach hurt. I got back into hobbies I'd abandoned during my marriage. Started hitting the gym seriously again, not just to look good, but because it cleared my head. Joined a weekend hiking group. Even tried boxing with my younger brother, though I learned quickly that getting punched in the ribs is not my thing. There were nights I still replayed it all, the texts, the smirk, that word pathetic, but I stopped blaming myself. I started realizing her cheating wasn't a reflection of my worth, but of her character. For the first time in years, my life felt like it was mine. Just when I thought she was gone for good, Emily popped back up like a bad smell you can't get rid of. It was a rainy Thursday night, and I was sitting on the couch watching a game when my phone lit up with an unknown number. I ignored it. A minute later, there was a knock at the door. When I opened it, there she was, soaked from the rain, mascara running, holding a bottle of wine like it was some peace treaty. "Jake," she said, shivering. I need to talk to you. Please." I didn't say a word. Just stood there in the doorway while she babbled. "Ryan was a mistake. I've been so lost without you. I think about us every day. We can make this work again. I'll do anything." She actually stepped forward like she was going to hug me, but I stopped her cold. "Emily, the only thing you're going to do is turn around and go home. You're not welcome here." That's when the mask slipped. Her eyes narrowed. "You think you're better than me now? You're nothing without me. I made you interesting, Jake. Without me, you're just some boring nobody." I laughed, actually laughed, because the irony was too much. "Emily, without me, you're broke, single, and living next to a gas station. Good luck with that." Before she could fire back, my neighbor's porch light flicked on, and Emily seemed to realize she had an audience. She spun on her heel, stomped to her car, and peeled out of the driveway. That was the last time she ever showed up in person. After that last doorstep performance, Emily faded into the background of my life like an old, bad habit. I focused on me. I doubled down on the gym, cleaned up my diet, and finally booked the solo trip to Colorado I'd been talking about for years. No compromises, no. Maybe next year. Because someone else didn't feel like it. A couple months later, Lisa dragged me to a trivia night at a local brewery. I wasn't looking for anything, but that's where I met Harper, funny, quick-witted, dark hair with that kind of smile that hits you in the chest. We started talking between rounds, and for the first time in a long time, I wasn't overthinking everything I said. It felt easy. We took it slow. No rushing into labels. No pretending everything was perfect. I told her up front about my divorce, about the cheating. She didn't flinch. "Sounds like you were dating a child in a woman's body," she said, and I swear that line alone made me want to see her again. Meanwhile, word about Emily kept trickling back through mutual acquaintances. She tried dating a couple guys, but it never lasted. Her little social circle had shrunk to almost nothing. Apparently, she'd even tried moving to another city, but came back after a few months. Because it wasn't working out. I didn't feel pity. I didn't feel satisfaction. I just felt nothing. That's how I knew I'd finally moved on. She wasn't my problem anymore. Looking back now, the whole thing feels like someone else's life, like I was just a spectator watching this slow-motion train wreck unfold. I used to torture myself with questions. What did I do wrong? Was I boring? Not enough? But the truth is, you could be the most exciting, attentive, passionate partner in the world, and if someone's wired to betray you, they will. Cheating says everything about them and nothing about your worth. The humiliation was the worst part, knowing my wife was out there making me the punchline while I was at home thinking she was working late or helping a friend. It messes with your head in ways you can't explain to someone who hasn't been through it. But here's what I learned. 1. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it's not paranoia, it's instinct. 2. Document everything. Screenshots, receipts, timestamps. They're your shield and sword when the lies start flying. 3. Don't play their game. They'll twist, gaslight, minimize. Stay calm, get your facts, then act. 4. Revenge is best served calculated. My barbecue reveal wasn't about screaming or breaking dishes. It was about exposing the truth so there was no room left for her narrative. 5. Cut them off completely. No. Just checking in. Texts. No late-night nostalgia calls. You're not their safety net. If you're reading this and you're in that hollow, shell-shock stage where you can't imagine life without them, trust me, you can. And you'll be happier. Emily thought I'd crumble without her. Instead, I rebuilt from the ground up. New bed, new routines, new life. And the best part? I sleep just fine now, no wondering who's on the other end of her phone. To anyone going through it, it's not the end of your story, it's the prologue to a better one. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.